let's get into our final Monday nighter, and Troy Torrence has already moved on this game. 8:15 p.m. Eastern, the Cleveland Browns 1-0, their first road game of the year against the Steelers. Back-to-back home games at Acrisure Stadium, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 66 Fahrenheit, cloudy, 5 miles per hour. Ron Crawford, any NFL spreadsheet play today is Pittsburgh +2. Copy and paste that. Pittsburgh +2 here. This does sort of follow the script. Again, we're going to talk about it often, but those of us who watch the dominance of the Browns can't help but have that play a part in our capping of this game. Those of us who watch the Steelers look atrocious. I mean, it's not an easy thing to back here. Let's talk about the line history for this spot. We have Cleveland sitting at -2.5. This opened up with Cleveland -1.5. It lasted at 1.5 for 3 minutes. That's all it took for Pinnacle. This is the fastest of any line on the board that came out by Pinnacle on Sunday night. It took 3 minutes to go from -1.5 to -2.5. The initial move, once it went to 2.5, was towards Pittsburgh, but even that stopped. So we have the 1-point move towards the Browns. Let's move over to the total in this. Luke Chase Fox says the Browns will destroy the Steelers. Slatsy says Deontay Johnson unlikely to pay. And Al Cervic says this is payback if there ever was. Payback if there ever was a spot. North Ender on the Steelers. Billy Brisbane on the Steelers. Birdie says he bet Pittsburgh money line, but he doesn't like it. Doesn't like it at all. Coin saying that Pittsburgh opened up at -1. That is important to talk about where it opened at other books, not just at Pinnacle. So that's great. Thank you, Coin. Let's go to the total here. This total is now down to 39.5, and it's juiced to the under. This opened up at 42, and it lasted there for a little bit. It lasted there for about 14 hours before it moved. So we have a move towards the under. Let's take a look at the cash flow. This is our final game on the board here. We are looking forward to buys so that the show doesn't go 3 hours, but thank you all for sticking with us. Spread-wise, you have 44% of the tickets and 63% of the cash on the Steelers, and the line's moving in the other direction. Total-wise, 56% of the tickets on the under, and 96% of that cash is on the under. Coin saying Pittsburgh spot for him. Al Cervic says he's off, but the screams Pittsburgh as a North lifer. And the kid says Browns by a milli. Browns come in off a very impressive 24-3 win at home over the Bengals. They close as 1-point dogs. Stefanski now 6-1 against the Bengals. And we got some glimpse of what Deshaun Watson is capable of doing. $230 million contract in 2022. He finished 16 of 29 for 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He ran 5 times for 45 yards. Nick Chubb was excellent, man. 18 carries for 106 yards, 4 catches for 21. Elijah Moore caught 3 for 43. Cooper caught 3 for 37. But it was the D that was just mighty. Held Joe Burrow to the worst game of his career. Held the Bengals to 6 first downs, 142 total yards. Bengals were 2 of 15 on third down and never made it into the red zone. They finished with 2 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. Dustin Hopkins kicked 3 field goals. Pretty nice not seeing Cade York out there. But it wasn't all good news. Jack Conklin's season is over. He tore his ACL and his MCL in his left knee on Sunday, which means DeJuan Jones, 4th-round pick, is now the right tackle for the Cleveland Browns. That's a huge, huge loss. Of course, Conklin, 2-time All-Pro. So, Steelers coming off that horrific 37 loss at home to the 49ers. It closed as 1-point dogs. It was ugly. From the first whistle to the last, they were dominated. They either punted or turned the ball over in each of their first 5 possessions. Kenny Pickett, 31 of 46 for 232 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. That flatters him. Allen Robinson caught 5 for 64. And Deontay Johnson, who we have heard is banged up. He left the third quarter after he tweaked his right hamstring following a 26-yard gain. And Slatsy telling us he will not be available. Najee Harris ran 6 times for 31 yards, caught 2 passes for 2 yards. Steelers finished with just 239 yards, only 41 of which came on the ground. Defensively, they couldn't get off the field. The Niners had the ball for 37 minutes, 23 seconds. TJ Watt had 5 tackles, 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, and recovered a fumble, and it didn't matter. No one else was putting any pressure on Purdy. The rest of the team finished with 0 sacks and 2 quarterback hits. And Watt ties James Harrison's franchise record for 80.5 sacks. Harrison did it in 177 games. Watt did it in 88. And then Hayward, groin injury. Johnson, hamstring injury. And Okorafor is in concussion protocol. Right tackle. You have already moved on this spot, Troy. Take it away, my man.
So yeah, the Browns. This is my team this year. I'm gonna ride them until the wheels fall off. At this point, I have faith that this team is going to be a team you want to back in 2023, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Watching this team was a thing of beauty. Dominated at the line of scrimmage, as expected. Watson got better as the game progressed. I mean, he grounded a couple balls early. I mean, it was raining, okay, but he can beat you on the ground or through the air. And the most beautiful thing about the Browns this season, you didn't see it last season, was this semi-roll on a play action, right, where they just move the pocket 3 to 5 yards to the left or to the right. And I think doing that helped Deshaun Watson see the field a lot better. And you could see in his confidence. I mean, his confidence was up. And if I was an offensive coordinator with a mobile quarterback, this is something I'd be copying and pasting. It's something that I would like to see a lot more teams do, but they don't. Just move in the pocket a little bit to get your guy moving, right? To move the line of scrimmage, and that helps Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. That's for sure. The Browns defense, absolutely elite. Forced Burrow into the worst game of his career by far, not even close. Knocking Burrow to his ass, a league best 7 times, and moving Myles Garrett around from the left side to the right side, lining him up as a nose guard, standing in a 2-point stance opposed to a 3-point stance. And I think Zadarius Smith complemented him perfectly. That tandem is going to be something special to watch this year. As I go for the Steelers, and I don't want to. It's probably true to some extent that I'm being short term, a little bit biased towards the Browns and the Steelers. But I cannot take away what I've seen out of this Steelers team. I thought that Pickett, this offensive line, would progress and we'd be able to back the Steelers. I thought they were ready to take a big step forward, just like the Chicago Bears. And we've seen the exact opposite. Pickett threw 2 picks. I mean, you touched on all the stats. Pressured at one of the league worst rates, 9 poor throws, pass blocking grade of 30th in the NFL. Now you've got to adjust that for the defense they're going against in the Niners, because that's no joke. But when you look at this Steelers team, when they played good defenses last year, they lost to New England at home 17-14. They lost to Philadelphia on the road 35-13. They lost to Baltimore without Lamar Jackson 16-14. And they beat the Ravens in Baltimore 16-13. I just don't think Pickett is ready to make this step forward. And I think that this defensive line is going to make him extremely uncomfortable. I think the Browns are going to be able to lean on the running game, and this is reverse line movement at its best. I mean, this is 100% reverse line movement towards the Browns. I mean, Pickett's so far away from taking that step forward at this point. I just can't see it, the quick turnaround, man. I know Tomlin's really good as a home dog, and I think Big O was pointed out in the chat that he's 19-3 on primetime ATS, but there's nothing fluky about this Browns team. Like, I'm not overreacting. They're finally being priced the way I think they should be. And I think if they repriced that week 1 game with the 49ers, I think you'd see probably a 3.5 to 4 point spread at this point. So I think that they're telling us that the Browns are right behind the 49ers in terms of overall power rating. And I agree. I actually have the Browns ahead of the 49ers. So I'm backing the Browns, and I don't know, man. I'm talking this out. It's making me feel more and more confident.
You have every right to be after what we saw from the Browns. The issue is, what the hell did we see from the Steelers? That's the confusing part of it all. But you have every right to have more confidence from a team that believes in themselves right now. And also said they had a whole different swag last week. They certainly did. So official look here from Troy. He's on the Browns -2 at -110. And Ron Crawford, NFL spreadsheet play today, is the Pittsburgh Steelers +2. And that concludes our breakdowns here.